Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're watching Super 6 here on India Today. I'm Akshita. Nandagopal. Over the next 1 hour, we'll be getting you all the big stories, the big headlines coming in from the southern states. Here's a quick look at what to expect over the next 60 minutes here on Super 6. Our top focus is on the heartbreaking story that's coming from Tamil Nadu's Cuddalore, where a school bus went right into a track. The gate was open, passed by, and so the train rammed into it. 3 children have died, but we're focusing on the kind of controversial comments that have come in. The DMK alleges that the gatekeeper is to blame, and because he was a non-local, didn't understand the Tamil that was being spoken, and that's what led to this tragedy. We're going to be talking about that and getting you details of what's known so far in the investigation. Is the DMK right? We'll tell you all about that. And from Tamil Nadu, we'll also focus on Karnataka, where yes, for the last 2 weeks and counting, the suspense, the speculation over CM change continues. DK Shivkumar is in Delhi currently. Tomorrow, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will also be in Delhi. There's going to be a huddle with the High Command, not to decide on the CM, but on the MLC names. But at the same time, this is happening when you're seeing all of this lobbying, DK's loyalists continuing to speak out, pushing for a CM change, pushing for DK Shivkumar to take over as Chief Minister. We'll also be getting you the big story coming in from Andhra Pradesh. There's a big political fight in Andhra. A YSRCP Neta's home has been vandalized. The same Neta who resorted to a shocking below-the-belt insult of a woman Neta of the TDP. And so you're seeing an outright showdown between the YSRCP and the TDP. We'll be joined by representatives of both the parties here on Super 6. And then from Kerala, we'll be telling you all about the protests that broke out in Kerala universities. As you see in those images, rather dramatic moments as police officials also had to be called in. What's this about? Well, there have been allegations once again of saffronization of universities. It's been a big issue, a contentious issue in Kerala, once again in focus. Those are the stories you can watch out for. First, as always, here are the headlines. Tragic accident in Tamil Nadu's Cuddalore. School bus and train collide, 3 students killed. DMK alleges railway gatekeeper didn't understand Tamil, cites language barrier. Students claim there was no gatekeeper even present. Congress placed down CM race Nataka. Fresh clamour to make DK as new Karnataka Chief Minister. Congress leadership says we've taken note. Showdown over traders and MNS in Maharashtra's Thane. Sena Netas joined protest alongside MNS. Party workers detained in protest as language war peaks.
यदि बहुत बड़े बॉस हो तो चलो बिहार, चलो उत्तर प्रदेश, चलो तमिलनाडु, तुमको पटक पटक के मारेंगे.
Mumbai VVIP brat admits drunk driving. MNS Neta's son admits to consuming alcohol before joyride and abusing a woman. Regrets verbal abuse and rage. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's big Mahila outreach before polls. 35% quota in jobs for women from Bihar. Women quota applies to all government jobs in Bihar. And Trump drops tariff letter. Bomb announces tariffs on 14 countries ranging from 25 to 40%. Deal with India soon, as President Trump claims they're close to making a trade deal with India. And let's begin with the heartbreaking news that came in from Tamil Nadu's Cuddalore of a speeding train ramming into a school bus. 3 children died in this particular tragedy. Several others were injured. But there were questions that were asked about whether this tragedy could have been avoided. Who was to blame for the school van going right into a railway track while a train was passing? This school van, according to officials, was struck by a train while reportedly crossing an open railway gate. And so the bus was dragged for nearly 50 meters. 3 children have died as a result. About 4+ people in that bus have been injured. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The DMK, multiple reactions that have come out since, have claimed that this accident, this tragedy that took place in Cuddalore was caused because of a language barrier. The gatekeeper at the spot, according to them, was a non-local, not a native Tamil speaker. And so they claim it's because of that there was miscommunication, which is what led to the tragedy. The gatekeeper, identified as Pankaj Sharma, not from Tamil Nadu, has been suspended after the incident, has also been arrested as part of the ongoing investigation. There's no doubt that there was some error clearly on the part of the gatekeeper and also, of course, on the part of the van driver, that he chose to drive through despite this being a crossing, a railway crossing, didn't watch out for whether a train was coming. But is there a language angle to this entire tragedy? Is it because the gatekeeper didn't understand the language? That's something the investigation will reveal. But here's a look at some of those reactions in a ground report.
That lone pair of shoes that you see over here was worn by a student who was not aware of what was going to happen today. That student was going to his school on a van, but unfortunately, because of human error, that did not happen today. That is the condition of the van in which 5 students were trying to go to their school today morning, and all they had to do was cross this crossing. This is a manned railway crossing, and they were supposed to cross it around 7:40 a.m. But there are 2 versions to the story. On one side, the railways claim that the driver of the van attempted to actually ask and request the gatekeeper to keep the gate open, and that because of that mistake, the train hit the van, causing death of 3 students. However, the eyewitnesses at this spot and the villagers here claim that was not the story. They claim that the gatekeeper did not close the gate on time. Imagine, this is a track that we are standing, and this is a track where high-speed trains actually ply through. And what happened is that from here, the villagers claim that as this particular railway crossing was kept open, that particular van tried to cross this, and because of which an accident occurred. Children's body, one child's body was on this track. There was a piece of a leg of a student on this track, and over there is a shoe, there are tiffin box, and there were also school bags and everything which have been now removed from this spot. And in this condition, 3 students have died. An extremely unfortunate accident that should not have happened in Cuddalore, Semmankuppam, but that happened because of human error. Who is to be blamed? That is still being investigated by railway authorities, railway police and Tamil Nadu police. But because of human error, 3 innocent lives, the future of India, 3 lives have been lost. Daniel, Pramod Madhav, for today.
Train towards from Viluppuram to Mayiladuthurai passenger crossing Semmankuppam level crossing, that is hit by one school van. So in that, one student died on the spot. Another student was died in the hospital. So 2 casualties. So another 2 students and the driver is getting treatment in GH Cuddalore. So further investigation is going on by railway police and railway authorities and state police also.
Already there was an incident, there was an accident here, and the railway authorities themselves had stated that it was because the person did not know the Tamil language, he could not understand what is told to him. The same thing has happened now. So it is always better in such important positions, the people who know the local language should be posted, so that will be helpful. That will at least save the people.
So many questions arise over this tragedy, but the number one is whether it was negligence and whether it was clear problems and a fault of the gatekeeper as well as the van driver that led to these 3 school children dying. There are conflicting versions that are emerging among the eyewitnesses. The van driver has blamed the railway gatekeeper, saying he wasn't present. No surprise there, because he's trying to shun the blame himself. Even as there are questions about why the van driver drove right through a railway crossing without looking if a train was approaching, even if the gatekeeper wasn't there. One of the injured students has, however, rejected what the van driver has said. The injured student maintains the gatekeeper was very much present, but highlights that the gatekeeper did nothing. Prima facie, looking at the versions that are coming out, there definitely seems to be a fault of both the van driver and the gatekeeper. The van driver has been injured, which is why he is right now in the hospital. The gatekeeper, identified as Pankaj, has been taken into custody. He's a non-local, and so the DMK is alleging that he is to blame.
நீங்கள் போகும்போது கேட் திறந்துருந்தா எந்த ரயில்லேருந்து சிக்னல் தான் வந்துதா ரயில் வந்து அலாரம் சிக்னல் இது வரல இது வழக்கமாக நீங்கள் போகிற ரூட்டு தான்
கேட் ஃபுல்லாக ஓப்பனில் தான் சார் கேட்டு போடவே இல்லை சிக்னலும் எதுவும் ஓடலை அதனால் ட்ரெயின் சவுண்டு வராதனால ட்ரெயின் போயிருக்கோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு தான் சாதாரணமாக போகிற வழி போனது அதெல்லாம் இல்லை போய் அவர் உட்காந்துருந்தார் தூங்கியிருந்தாரான்னு கூட தெரியல இடித்ததுக்கப்புறம் கூட அவர் வெளியே வரவே இல்லை.
So you heard there from the van driver who says that the gate was open, which is why he drove right through. The other version that's emerging is that the van driver told the gatekeeper open the gate and went right through. Now that's something, of course, that has to be confirmed, but the railways at this point, based on their initial investigation, maintain this is what happened, which is why they say yes, the gatekeeper is responsible, but so is the van driver. The DMK maintains, and many DMK leaders have spoken out saying that it's the gatekeeper who didn't really understand what was happening. I'll bring in Pramod Madhav, who's joining us live from Cuddalore, where this tragic accident took place. Pramod, there are questions about whether this was an accident at all. Who is to blame here, the van driver or is it the gatekeeper? What are you picking up from the eyewitnesses you spoke to? Because, you've got all these statements coming in, very conflicting. And amid that, the DMK is saying that this has something to do with language.
Akshita, one thing is very clear: the entire village of Semmankuppam is completely is completely devastated because a sister and a brother from a same house has died, and their relative, another child, has also died in Pondicherry's Jipma as well. And the bigger question is that crores of rupees are being actually every year spent on this particular issue, which is called as manned and unmanned gates, which means the gatekeeper is responsible for letting trains during such periods, because this is a particular track where high-speed trains ply almost 20 minutes every day. So this is like something very serious, and that's the reason such questions are being raised. But even before a question, kind of an investigation could be conducted, Southern Railways came forward and said that it was the driver who went ahead and asked the gatekeeper to open the gate. We saw the gate. It's not an easy thing for a driver to pass just like that, because someone has to keep it open. And we also saw that one person, the gatekeeper, must be there, and he has to hold a green or a red flag to provide the signal. So there is definitely negligence in it. But unfortunately, DMK has also used particular situation to go ahead and say that Tamil Nadu is being neglected when it comes to railway budget. We did speak to MRK Paneerselvam, who is the agriculture minister.
Let's just play that out, Pramod, what you're referring to right now. We're just putting that out on our screens as well. The DMK minister, who's now spoken out, blaming the centre, saying that the central government is neglecting Tamil Nadu in the railway budget, and that's what's led to such issues, highlighting essentially poor infrastructure, and that's why there was scope for this kind of a tragedy to even take place. And then you have the DMK minister speaking to us, saying that it's also because you've got non-native language speakers appointed in such roles. So the DMK going back to language, saying that because the gatekeeper was someone who wasn't a local, couldn't speak Tamil, this happened, this tragedy played out.
எந்தெந்த இடங்களில் இது போன்ற ரயில்வே கிராசிங் இருக்கிறது என்பதை அறிந்து அரசுக்கு, ஒன்றிய அரசுக்கு அப்பப்போது பரிந்துரை செய்யப்படும். அதுபோல் நடவடிக்கை நடப்பது, தொடர் நடவடிக்கை எடுப்பது ஒன்றிய அரசு தான் நடவடிக்கை எடுக்க வேண்டும். ஆக அவர்கள் நிதிநிலைக்கேற்ப அவர்கள் இன்னும் சொல்லப்போனால் இந்த மாநிலம் புறக்கணிக்கப்படுகிறது ரயில்வே பட்ஜெட்டில் என்பதற்கு ஒரு உதாரணம்.
Unfortunate, sir.
சொல்றேன், அதான் எப்போ அதிகமாக இது போன்ற ஆளில்லா கேட்டு இருக்காது இந்தியாவில் என்று அவர்கள் சொல்லுவார்கள். இப்போ செயல்படுத்த
TKS இளங்கோவன் உங்க கட்சியோட சேர்ந்தவர் ஹிந்தி பேசுறவங்களை இங்க நீங்கனால தான் இந்த மாதிரி ஆக்சிடென்ட் வருதுன்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க.
அதுவும் உண்டுதான், அதுவும் உண்டுதான். அப்புறம் இது போல மொழி தெரியாதவர்கள் இங்கே போட்டு இது மாதிரி முக்கியமான இடங்களில் அந்தந்த மாநிலத்துக்கு ஏற்ப, அந்தந்த மொழிக்கு ஏற்ப நியமனம் செய்ய வேண்டும்.
மத்திய அரசு சம்பந்தமா ஏதாவது கேட்க விரும்புறீங்களா?
இதுதான் சொல்றோம்.
Police is undertaking investigations as to find out the actual cause of the incident. Once the investigation findings come to full picture, we'll be able to understand.
What about the gatekeeper, sir? Has he been arrested?
The inquiry is ongoing. Initially in the morning, the gatekeeper was there at the location, and there was a small L&O situation, and that has been controlled now. But as I already mentioned, police is undertaking an investigation, and proper action will be taken against all concerned. We have also come and given relief to the families in presence of the honorable ministers. So right now we have been focusing on that. We'll look into this statement which has been issued by the railways, and we'll respond to them officially.
You've heard from the state government. Let's tell you what we're picking up from the Indian Railways. Sources in the Indian Railways have spoken out about this tragedy and the DMK's allegation that this is a result of poor infrastructure and a lack of funds being provided to the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, the Railways has made it very clear that we're not in a regional structure but in a national structure. And so Railways appoints people from across the country, specifically responding to the criticism from the DMK that this has happened because non-natives are being deployed in these kind of sites, essentially suggesting that North Indians have been brought to Tamil Nadu who don't understand the language. This is the statement that's come in from the Railways right now. I'll bring in Pramod Madhav for a quick state reaction on this. Pramod, even as you're seeing this back and forth, just run us through why the DMK is making this allegation. Are they suggesting that the gatekeeper opened the gate because he didn't understand what the van driver was telling him, and that's where they say, language barrier came up?
That seems to be the kind of explanation from TK Silangovan. But Akshita, I have to make it very clear. Once the gate is closed or once a train's coming over, the gatekeeper is not supposed to listen to anybody. It doesn't matter who the person is because it's a kind of like life threat situation. But here, as the Railways went ahead and said that like the van driver and the gatekeeper had a conversation, TK said like perhaps that is because he did not understand the language. It went ahead. But there is a bigger kind of point behind it because be it DMK or its ally parties have been constantly claiming that when it comes to Tamil Nadu, prominence is given to non-Hindi speakers in Hindi, like in railway jobs, and that is being reflected here as well, Akshita.
Unfortunate, really. There's no doubt that the gatekeeper here must be investigated, as should be the van driver. Whatever be the circumstances, even if the gatekeeper didn't understand the language, clear protocol, in whichever language it is, suggests that there's no circumstance in which he should be opening that gate. And so there will be serious questions asked about whether we're undermining this whole tragedy by dragging in language and whatnot. But Pramod, thanks for those details. Unfortunate tragedy that's played out, heartbreaking, and our condolences to the families there who've lost their loved ones. 3 children have died as a result of this tragedy. As a result, let's be clear, of negligence. All right, let's move on Super 6 and tell you what's been happening in Karnataka. We've been tracking very, very closely the power struggle in the Karnataka Congress. The Karnataka legislators, who are DK Shivkumar loyalists, continue to speak out one after another, making their campaign clear: DK is for Chief Minister. Will we see any movement on that remains to be seen. But why is the Congress not doing anything, cracking the whip on these loyalists from speaking out, seeking a CM change? Interestingly, you had Randeep Surjewala today, the Karnataka in-charge leader, saying that, look, these statements come and go, meaning essentially that the Congress is not going to crack down on the DK's loyalists who continuously are campaigning for a change in CM.
Sir, you are going to meet High Command, sir.
From Karnataka to Delhi, the CM suspense continues. While DK Shivkumar is in Delhi for meetings with the High Command, Siddaramaiah will be in the capital tomorrow. On the 10th of July, the two leaders will be part of a key huddle where MLC seats will be discussed, the meeting at the time of uncertainty and speculation. And DK Shivkumar's loyalists continue their DK for CM chorus.
ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯ ಶಾಸಕರು ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟಿನಿಂದ ಅವರು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಡಿ ಕೆ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮಗೇನು ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಭಿನ್ನವಾದಂಥ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯ ಜನಾಭಿಪ್ರಾಯನೂ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಶಾಸಕರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ್ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ cannot be stagnant. The leadership has to change. The leaders have to grow. New leadership has to come. So whenever the opportunity is given, it will definitely happen. But individuals airing out their views should not be considered that it is a protest.
While the rumblings continue, the Congress seems to be intentionally turning a blind eye. Instead of cracking down on legislators who are openly batting for a CM change, the Congress seems to have chosen to merely ignore it. Not the best sign for Siddaramaiah.
Leadership issues are concerned. I spoke to you last week along with the PCC president, who's also Deputy Chief Minister. Whatever we had to say on that issue, we have already spoken. And I don't think so that's an issue any longer.
Amid this political buzz of a churn, the BJP has lashed out at the Congress over the truckers' protest in Karnataka, leading to a delay in dispersing rice to beneficiaries of the Anna Bhagya scheme.
Both CM, Deputy CM and entire cabinet is busy in saving their chairs. Therefore, in Karnataka, this government is dead as people are concerned, and people are waiting eagerly to throw out this government as soon as possible.
With months to go for Siddaramaiah to finish 2.5 years as CM, DK Shivakumar's camp has kicked off a rather public CM change campaign. But the question is the High Command listening? Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let me bring in Sagaraj, who's been tracking all the latest updates from Bengaluru. Sagar, it looks like the action slowly from Bengaluru is shifting to Delhi. DK Shivkumar is already in Delhi. Tomorrow, Siddaramaiah will be here. There's going to be a meeting with the High Command. We understand there is no, agenda of CM change or any of that will be brought up. But there's no doubt that this meeting happening at a time when we've seen so much of speculation is what everyone's going to be talking about.
Absolutely, and this comes after many of them are openly talking about the pact between DK Shivkumar, Siddaramaiah and High Command, whether it is MLAs or even Swamijis has openly spoken about it. And even DK Shivkumar did not rule out that there was a pact. He in fact went on to say that whatever the pact it is, we will discuss within our own party. I need not discuss all those things in public. So he has categorically mentioned there is a pact between them, whether who will become the chief minister after 2.5 years or who will be the first term and second term. So probably the High Command had to decide on this, as everybody is predicting the fortune of DK Shivkumar. DK Shivkumar is still says that he will not cross the Lakshman Rekha of High Command.
Okay, Sagai, thanks very much for getting us those details. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. Remember that the 2.5-year term comes to an end in November. That's when Siddaramaiah completes 2.5 years as Chief Minister. Will there be a change? Well, there's certainly many developments that suggest that DK Shivkumar is pushing for it. Okay, let's move on and talk about the big political fight that's playing out in Andhra Pradesh between the YSRCP and the TDP. You have a YSRCP leader, Prasanna Kumar Reddy's house in Nellore being vandalized. These are the images of how his home was vandalized right after he made a derogatory comment against a TDP MLA, Prashanthi Reddy. This has become the biggest face-off right now between the YSRCP and the TDP. According to the YSRCP, TDP supporters did this, vandalized the home, stormed into the YSRCP Neta's house when he was away, damaged furniture, glassware, and also vandalized the 2 cars parked outside. Now, this is what the YSRCP claims. TDP has dismissed having any role really in this attack. But mind you, there's been a huge controversy for the last many days over comments made by Prasanna Reddy, the YSRCP leader in question here, the misogynist remarks that he made against Prashanthi Reddy, the TDP leader who's married to an MP, Prabhakar Reddy. He made comments saying that, she blackmailed her husband into marriage, that she might poison him in his sleep. And so there have been condemnations pouring in from all of the leadership, including Nara Lokesh, who's called the remarks a crime and asserted that this is not Jagan's Jungle Raj. Pawan Kalyan, Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister, also lambasted YSRCP and said that we will ensure that legal action also is taken against the leader.
ఆగ్రాకి వేమిరెడ్డి ప్రభాకర్ రెడ్డి గారిని బ్లాక్మెయిల్ చేసి బెదిరించి పెళ్లి చేసుకుంది. అతను ఒక పిచ్చోడు. ఎందుకు ఈయన చేసుకున్నాడో ఎవరికి అర్థం కాదు. అతను అడిగితే ఆ జిల్లాలో ఎవరో ఒక మంచి కుటుంబంలో ఒక అమ్మాయిని ముక్కుపచ్చలాదని అమ్మాయిని ఆయనకి ఇచ్చి పెళ్లి చేసి ఉండేవాడు. ఈ బోరు బావిలో పడిపోయాడు. ఆ ప్రభాకర్ రెడ్డి కూడా మనసు బాగుండట్లేదు. ఆ మొహం అంతా ఇప్పుడు రికాలేషన్స్ పడున్నాడు. అతన్ని 4 నిమిషాలు పెట్టున్నట్టుంది. అతనికి అర్థమైపోయింది ఎందుకు వచ్చింది కర్మరా ఇది అనవసరంగా గొంతు తెచ్చుకున్నాను.
అటువంటి మహిళ గురించి ఒక మాజీ ఎమ్మెల్యే నోటికొచ్చినట్టు మాట్లాడటం అన్నది ఎంతవరకు సమంజసం అని నేను ముందు మిమ్మల్ని ప్రజల్ని నేను ప్రశ్నిస్తున్నా. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం పత్రికా విలేకరులను కూడా ప్రశ్నిస్తున్నా. ఆవిడ గురించి ఆవిడ వ్యక్తిత్వ హననం చేయడానికి ఒక క్యారెక్టర్ అసోసియేషన్ చేస్తూ ఆవిడ వివాహం గురించి ఆవిడ వ్యక్తిగత జీవితం గురించి చాలా దరిద్రంగా అంటే ఒక ఎవ్వరూ కూడా హర్షించని విధంగా మాట్లాడటం.
మహిళలందరూ చూస్తున్నారు. ప్రసన్న కుమార్ రెడ్డి గారు, మీరు ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ మహిళలందరి తరఫున మేము కోరుకునేది ఒకటే, మీరు ప్రశాంతి రెడ్డి గారికి క్షమాపణ చెప్పాల్సిందే. ఎందుకంటే మీ ఇంట్లో కూడా మహిళలు ఉంటారు. మా నాయకులు మాకు ఆ సంస్కారం నేర్పలేదు. మీ నాయకుడేమో డ్రైవర్ని కార్ కింద తొక్కించుకుంటా పోతే మీరు పట్టించుకోరు, రెచ్చగొడుతున్నారు ప్రజలందరినీ, రపర్ 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 నరకాలంటారు. మీరు చూస్తే ఈరోజు మహిళల్ని ఇంత అసభ్యకరంగా ఇంత అవమానంగా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు.
ఏ విధంగా ధ్వంసం చేశారు. అన్నిటికన్నా దారుణమైంది ఏంటంటే ఇంట్లో ప్రసరణ లేని సమయంలో ఏదైతే పెద్దోళ్ళు ఉన్నారు ఈరోజు ఉంటే అది కూడా లెక్క చేయకుండా ఈరోజు 60-70 మంది వచ్చి ఇల్లుని ధ్వంసం చేసి, ఒకవేళ నిజంగా ప్రసన్న ఉండుంటే ఈరోజు ఆయన నిజంగా ఏమి జరుగున్నా కూడా తెలియని పరిస్థితి.
And the latest update coming in is that a complaint has been filed against the YSRCP leader Prasanna Reddy for his comments. It's the TDP MLA Prashanthi Reddy against whom he resorted to that misogynistic rant, who's filed the complaint against Prasanna. Remember, he made derogatory remarks which we played out for you as well against the TDP MLA. He hasn't issued an apology. And now you've got the TDP MLA who he targeted. She's filed a complaint seeking the YSRCP leader Prasanna Reddy's arrest. Let's bring in on this broadcast now Deepak Reddy Gunapati of the TDP of the Telugu Desam Party. We also have Karthik Yellapragada, spokesperson of the YSRCP. Thank you both very much for your time. Good evening. Karthik, I'd like to begin with you. Serious allegations that you've levelled that this is the TDP that's resorted to vandalizing the residence of one of your leaders. What's the evidence the YSRCP has to point fingers at the Telugu Desam Party?
Well, that's very evident, right, Akshita? And that is a clear instruction from the TDP office to get that whole thing vandalized. And we're talking about a woman. Let's not forget the mother of the ex-MLA was also in the home when this whole thing was happening. And she's like really scared when the whole thing is happening. The point here is the state of Andhra Pradesh is now on national news all the time, all these days, with a lot of violence and political vendetta. The question is, why is that happening just in the last few months? What did change? The change is the governance. And we actually see a lot of political vendetta in the same journalist fraternity as you do, Akshita. There were 63 cases that got filed against the reporters. 11 were actually beaten. The SC/ST atrocities that are happening in the state. Why the state is coming all the time into national media with just this political vendetta news? We didn't see this earlier. And this is scary in the state now. And then if this misogynism is a thing, I think TDP has a patent for that. They were abusing the honorable leader of us, Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy's wife, on camera. And not just that, Roja, who happens to be our honorable MLA, they were speaking as if, I just don't want to say that on record. All the derogatory comments that any woman can never listen.
But two wrongs don't make a right, Karthik Garu. What has been said right now is also very, very objectionable and unacceptable.
We are not endorsing that, Akshita, at the same time. Let the judicial process kick in. Who has given them the right to enter their home and vandalize the whole home? And his own mother was sitting there in the home. She's like 78 years of old in age. Why are we not talking about that violence deliberately made in the broad daylight or in the evening? No one is talking about it. And then how many cases? 2,466 cases, Akshita, on record. What has been filed against YSRCP supporters? About 300 murders, 198 women cases. Why all of this is happening just in the past few months? That
So
is the debate
let me bring in
that
the
nation
TDP
should talk
also.
about.
Let me give a chance to also Deepak Reddy Garu to make his opening comments on this. Deepak Garu, what do you have to say to the YSRCP's allegation that this is the TDP going after its opposition, going after the YSRCP?
Very good evening, ma'am. This is another attempt by YCP just to, make themselves feel relevant. The people of Andhra Pradesh haven't even given them an opposition status looking at the 5 years of rule what they had. Let me be very frank. I was a legislator during Jagan Mohan Reddy's 5-year tenure. What is happening now in Andhra Pradesh, even if you are absolutely liberal, it is not even 1% of what these people have done earlier. Every woman leader belonging to Telugu Desam party was in tears in the 5 years of Jagan Mohan Reddy's government because they would brutally attack a character of all our women leaders in TDP. You can see what kind of a posts were put in the last 5 years. And similarly, what happened in this particular incident is this former MLA comes out and says, who's the leader was an MLA and her husband is an MP, saying that the wife is going to kill her own husband in the night for money. And the next thing is, brutally, he started talking about her character. So this level they have stooped down to. So at such cheap levels, I don't think a single woman would ever come into politics also. So here the question is not violence. It is the question that we have to respect our women. This is exactly what our chief minister has been telling for the last 2 months. We are not going to tolerate such kind of a derogatory comments on any woman in the state of Andhra Pradesh. And similarly, Lokesh ji also has condemned such kind of acts in n number of incidents. This is not just
so
one.
let's get this out of the way. Karthik, very clearly, when these kind of comments are made, and you've listed instances where you've claimed that TDP also has done this, but like I said, two wrongs don't make a right. Is there a clear apology from the YSRCP for the kind of words that were used by your leader?
YSRCP
question,
is
the question here is
behind
the
this.
question here is about the Mr. Deepak, please. The question here is about violence, Akshita. The question here is about the Red Book constitution that is happening in the state. As we said, we don't endorse any sort of violence. That's on record.
No,
But
we'll talk about
said,
that. I'm 100% going to talk about that. But let's focus on my question right now about the comment that was made by Prasanna Reddy against Prashanthi Reddy. Is that something the YSRCP is okay with? If not, why haven't you asked the leader to apologize? Why hasn't the YSRCP put out a statement saying it's unacceptable, the words he's used?
The point here is, as I said, we don't endorse any such violence or such misogynist remarks. That's on record.
Why don't you condemn
But
it?
then there were
condemn
n number of instances. There were n number of instances that has happened where never ever TDP has come forward. Where the Honorable Chief Minister's wife is also dragged into stoop low comments on record by the media channels owned by TDP and IDDP. And as I said, there were n instances people were like Roja were all dragged into as too low as possible. The point here is they were always attacking in terms of the credibility of a woman in the state. They hear the question again is about why in the past couple of months we have repeatedly getting into the national level just on the violence. This never happened in the state of Andhra Pradesh. This is all for the wrong reasons we are representing into the national media now. Why? The question is that.
Okay, I'll come to violence. I'll come to violence.
Truth is a very big casualty here. Truth is a very big casualty
no,
here.
Deepak Garu, first, let me, just kind of break this down. First, to the allegation from the YSRCP that TDP also is a habitual offender when it comes to insulting and targeting women. And he's given you instances.
Absolutely false. This is just a pretext to divert from this subject, ma'am. In fact, our Home Minister is a Dalit lady, and she was on air not once, multiple times in tears with the way she was trolled and the way she was attacked and the way comments were being put out by YCP leaders. So this is not just one case. You can dig into the media reports itself. Not one. Every woman leader belonging to Telugu Desam in the last 5 years, they were on air in tears with the way the YCP leaders were commenting on them, attacking them on social media. So this is not just a one-off incident. This is a regular practice by the YSRCP party. And here the question is, even till now, they don't come and condemn the comments which has happened in this latest incident,
The
rather
point,
than
Mr.
talking about
Deepak,
the
the
violence.
point,
And let me
it's
be
not
frank,
about diversion,
Okay,
Mr. Deepak.
Karthik, I'll come to you. Hold on.
This gentleman representing YCP is a fresh face from the last 1 month. He was not in Andhra Pradesh when the YCP government was ruling.
Let's
And
talk
he's a
about real
non-resident
problems.
Telugu. He's non-resident Telugu living somewhere in Hyderabad. He has no clue about what is going on in Andhra Pradesh.
No.
So
One
he's
second.
just a
Karthik,
mouthpiece
quick
on behalf
response
of
from you, and then I'm
YCP
going to
who comes
focus
and talks
on the
this way.
vandalism, the violence. Karthik, quick response.
Let's get back to the point. They couldn't face me, and they're actually allegating. The point here is even India Today is in Delhi. Doesn't give the fact that they don't talk about Andhra Pradesh. No, let's not go into personal aspects, Mr. Deepak. The point here is, on record, there were instances where TDP-led
See,
channels
the
have
point here is, please talk the truth. Please talk
deliberately,
the truth. Don't be a fake mic and then
deliberately
talk only false
derogating,
Just
facts.
hold on,
derogating
please,
Please
our
one
talk
at a
facts.
time.
derogatory,
One at a time, Mr. Deepak,
derogatory
I'll give you your time. Let Karthik make his point.
point is repeatedly derogating our honorable, leader's wife, Roja, and many other leaders, even Mr. Murthy, who happens to be a TDP leader. They have gone to stoop low where I can't even refer on this national media what those people have said to the women leaders of our party. And even in the recent past, Akshita, an SC lady is tied to a rope. I mean, tied to a tree with a rope. And we as a social media got so active, and then the Human Rights Commission has actually come and play. And after that, we see that Home Minister is coming out and giving a response. So,
Okay.
such incidents are repeatedly happening in the state, Akshita. The question is why Andhra Pradesh is coming into news for all the bad reasons to the national
Okay,
level
let's
just in
focus.
the
Let's
past few
talk about the
months.
violence. Let's talk about the violence that broke out at a YSRCP leader's house. Deepak Garu, your response to that particularly, to the vandalism that's been reported at his house. Look, what he said is condemnable. But surely we're not going to endorse violence and vandalism of this kind.
Absolutely, ma'am. In fact, in another incident which took place on a Dalit Sarpanch, although it was nothing to do with the party, the three who were linked with that were arrested within immediately. So even in this case, the former MLA himself said the minute he called the DSP, a lady, she came running to the spot immediately. So that is how quick the government and the police responded in this case also. We don't endorse any type of violence, but the fact here is women in politics have to be respected. You cannot continuously, pass derogatory comments on them and attack their character.
No, agreed. But I hope we're not making that an excuse
This is
to
the
kind of
issue
say
here.
that, this kind of violence and vandalism is also okay, Mr. Deepak Reddy, because the YSRCP is saying that the TDP was involved in this vandalism and violence. Have they been identified?
Ma'am, let me make one thing very clear. Not just a spokesman, I am a zonal coordinator heading a zone in Andhra Pradesh. I know all our MLAs have been continuously asking us about the past mistakes which YCP has done, and they want to file cases and attack them legally. But our government has not given them a green signal. We are focusing only on development and the welfare of the people. So that is the style of functioning of our chief minister. So here, YCP comes up with these stories just to make themselves relevant and just to say that they're still afloat in politics because they don't even have opposition status in Andhra Pradesh. The fact is, even now, they haven't come out and condemned the bad comments which are continuously being leveled against ladies in politics in Andhra Pradesh. So we are absolutely clear. We don't support violence, but our chief minister and Lokesh ji have clearly said the honor of women in politics will be upkept. And it is the responsibility
Karthik,
of
your
the government.
response. The TDP saying, they have a no-nonsense approach when it comes to this kind of violence.
Neither do we, Akshita. And we don't want any political discourse from TDP on that matter. If our sources are right, Mr. Lokesh was also in the same district when the attack was happening, by the way. If really they have any chastity towards women, we actually want them to discourage and again prove that TDP is more interested in drama than dignity. The point here is, please let's not get into a national level for all the bad reasons. Rule properly. Prefer sensitivity over sensationalism. Why there were 2,500 cases, 720 just on social media, Akshita. 720 cases just on social media. Your journalist fraternity, 63 people were booked, 11 people were beaten. 300 murders, 198 women.
No,
On record.
Karthik, I'm going to go
on
back to
record,
the
Akshita.
question I asked you
That's on
earlier,
record.
which is what is the evidence? I agree, this kind of a crackdown is unprecedented, but it's not something we haven't seen before. Unfortunately, the reality is journalists are targeted by every government. But Karthik, what is the evidence that, that on basis of which the YSRCP has said the TDP is involved in the vandalism?
Akshita, if you spend just 5 minutes looking at Prashanti's statement in the past 1-2 days, she comes out and tells that, no, we don't know who are they. Again, she comes and tells that we know who are they and we telephoned and then not to do such things. And again, she changes her words. Even if you spend 5 minutes on what she spoke, there is a mere contradiction in the way she is actually setting up the narrative, where even an elementary school kid would understand that this is a coordinated TDP attack on the house of our honorable MLA. And again, Akshita, in the same district, never ever, there has been such a violence. There has been such a violence in that
Mr.
district.
Deepak, I'll give you a chance to respond.
You got to allow me, Mr. Deepak.
Just hold
Mr.
on, please.
Deepak, you got to allow me to speak.
Let Karthik finish and then I'll come to you. Deepak Garu, just hold on.
Mr.
Karthik,
Deepak,
finish
please.
your point.
Hold on. You got to allow me to speak. So in that district, it's always for dignity. We have never seen such an incident happening. You can check the records. And this person happens to be 5-6 times MLA. His father was a minister, and they actually hold a legacy. And we have never seen a history like this. Why in 2025 such things are happening? What did change? The governance got changed. And I want to let Mr. Deepak know, it's not about opposition. We still have 40% rock solid vote share, which can't be tampered. And again, twisting your arm, Mr. Deepak, in 2029 election is not very far because of the atrocities that you're doing to the state of Andhra Pradesh.
Okay,
This is on record.
Deepak Reddy, quickly your comment, because I'll have to wrap this up then. What is the action? You say violence is condemnable. What is the action that the government has taken to identify the people behind this vandalism? What action has been taken against them?
Ma'am, YCP spokesperson stands totally exposed, because the former MLA himself came on air today and he said, the minute I came to know about it, I called the DSP, which was a lady DSP officer, and she immediately rushed to the spot. So if we were involved, the DSP would not have come to the site. So it's very evident that we had nothing to do with it. And what is being peddled by YCP is false, because their former MLA himself has come on air and said that. So here the point is, the spokesperson of YCP doesn't live in Andhra Pradesh. He has absolute no knowledge about the facts which are going on the field, other than reading the note which is sent by his party and try to protect his party without any basis. The fact of the matter is,
Let's
stay away from personal comments. Let's stay away from personal comments, Mr. Deepak Reddy. Let's talk about the issue at hand here.
That was the level of comments which the YCP leaders were putting out derogatory on
this is descending into a political back and forth, which wasn't the intention here. It was to get, hopefully, a message of condemnation from both the TDP and YSRCP that one, misogynistic comments are not okay, and neither is violence and vandalism. Ideally, we should be all on the same page on that, and that's where I'd like to leave it. Thank you very much to both the TDP and YSRCP, to Deepak Reddy as well as Karthik for joining us here on India Today. All right, let's move from Andhra Pradesh to Kerala. The Kerala University turned to a battleground. Dramatic scenes that unfolded at the Kerala University. This is in Thiruvananthapuram, where you had SFI members storming the premises of the university. They were protesting against the governor. The governor, remember, in Kerala currently is Rajendra Vishwanath Arlekar. He's also the chancellor of the universities. These SFI members gathered, protesting, alleging attempts were being made to saffronize universities, an issue that you see coming up across the country. In Kerala too, it's been a big talking point, because they say that these universities are under the influence of the Sangh Parivar. Things took a violent turn. SFI workers were seen breaking open the gates, storming into the office complex. The police were deployed in large numbers, but unable to prevent the breach. And finally, many of these students were also taken into custody. What do these protesters want? They want the resignation of the vice-chancellors of both Calicut and Kerala universities, accusing them of aligning with the Sangh Parivar.
Dramatic scenes are unfolding at the Kerala University campus here in the state capital, Thiruvananthapuram, with major commotion taking place between the SFI activists, the student union of CPM, as well as the police. Now, this is against the governor of Kerala, Rajendra Arlekar, who's also the Chancellor of Universities in the state, alleging that he's trying to saffronize the universities in Kerala. It all started when Governor used a picture of Bharat Mata, allegedly used by the RSS, holding a saffron flag, against which the ministers in the state had raised huge protests. They had boycotted the event at Raj Bhavan, saying that for official programs, such symbols of organizations cannot be used. Only those symbols permitted by the constitution can be used, is what the ministers said. They boycotted the program, following which a tussle broke out between the governor and the state government. Now later, governor, who is also the Chancellor of Universities, was coming to Kerala University to attend a program, and a similar picture of Bharat Mata was used for the program at the university also, against which SFI raised protests, saying that such symbols cannot be allowed in universities. It's the symbol of RSS. If governor is trying to make Raj Bhavan the headquarters of RSS, then we are not going to permit it, is what the SFI said. And universities cannot be used for such purposes, what the SFI said, and they raised huge protests back then. Major commotion broke out at the university in Kerala, Kerala University. Later, following the commotion, the Vice Chancellor of the university suspended the registrar of the event who allowed the protest, saying that he allowed the protest to take place at the university. Now, this protest is against the governor for the suspension of the registrar by the Vice Chancellor, and also for the Bharat Mata controversy that's been ongoing in the state since a long time.
Dramatic scenes there in Kerala, in Thiruvananthapuram.